Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Welcome, everybody. It is John Muir's birthday today, his birth anniversary, I should say. It's April 21, 2021. Tomorrow is Earth Day, and we're super excited because it's also National Parks Week, and we are in Visalia, California, in the heart of Tulare-County, California, Sequoia country. Today's show, we are airing live from the Comfort Suites Convention Center in the heart of historic downtown Visalia. And we are in California Sequoia country. How can you beat that for John Muir's birth anniversary, National Parks Week, all of it? And in fact, yesterday we got to spend a lot of time in Sequoia National Park with the naturalist Rebecca Jones from the Sequoia Parks Conservancy. And we took some slow walks, really taking in every bug, every woodpecker hole that we could see, every flower. And I just want to say this is a quote from John Muir. I'm sure all of you have heard it. It says, and he says, in every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks. And that's really true this week. We have been exploring Tulare County. We've been to Tulare, Dinuba, Allensworth, Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. We're in Visalia. Tomorrow we go to Porterville. Then we go to Wood Lake, Three Rivers. It has been quite a week so far, and we're not done. And I don't think we'll ever be done covering this beautiful region that is Tulare County. So, as many of you know, Nancy and I travel the country full-time in our RAV4. No, there's no going home. We're on the road permanently, documenting parks and public lands, our national parks, state parks, community parks, all of them. Every piece of park matters, and that's our Love Your Parks tour. You can see our stories and check out our interactive maps and travel guides on nationalparktraveling.com. Our Parks and Travel magazine is on that website as well, digital magazine. And we also share stories, especially about the communities, like where we are in Visalia, in our Big Blend radio and TV magazine. And you can see the stories also on the website and the magazine at blendradioandtv.com. Now, California Sequoia country is easily it's just so easy to get to from whether you're in Fresno, LA, the Bay Area. It's in the Central Valley of California, and very agricultural. They say they grow over 300 crops out here. It's also like Tulare is the dairy capital of the world. So there's a lot of good food. There's a lot of shopping. There's a lot of history, a lot of nature and outdoor recreation. And it's just really an amazing place to visit. And from what we've seen, definitely a place for families to come out. So I encourage you to go to the website for the Sequoia Tourism Council. That is discoverthesequoias.com. And we have three special guests joining us on the show from the Sequoia Tourism Council. I will introduce you to them in a second. Later on the show, we're also going to we've got music. Of course, we've got to always play music. We have Steven Ptomey joining us from Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. He's going to talk about this very unique historical park, nothing like it. Also, Reda Bennani from the Best Western Americana Inn in Dinuba, where we stayed a couple nights. Wonderful, wonderful lodgings. We'll be chatting with him about Dinuba and where to stay, especially if you're going to Kings-Canyon National Park. Also, Katy Young, we visited her today at Imagine You Children's Museum here in downtown Visalia. So much fun. I mean, I don't care. I know it's for children up to 8 years old, but seriously, so much fun and very educational. Definitely a place to bring your children. And we also spent time back at Farmer Bob's World and McKellar Family Farms. We visited I think it's over, I was going to say the last time, maybe 2014 that we were there. And so good to see how much they've grown. How Farmer Bob's vision has just really come to fruition with wagon tours, tractor tours, and you can play with the chickens and really learn about agriculture in the Central Valley and especially about oranges. So you'll hear those segments, some great music from Makana and also the Everett Coast. But first, let's bring our first guest on the show from California's Sequoia Country. All right. So our first guest I want to bring on is Sandy Sills. Sandy is the executive director. We're calling her right now. Can you hear her? She is the executive director of the Dinuba Chamber of Commerce, where we just left. And you can go to dinubachamber.com. Sandy, how are you?
I am fine. Sorry for the ringing. I'm running the office by myself this week, so there's no one to pick up the other line, and I was afraid I would lose my cue, so I didn't try to answer it. Sorry.
Well, I know, but I said I was calling you.
Yeah, I know. It worked out. The timing was perfect.
Hey, that's it. But, this is the thing. It's even amazing how this, our whole visit came to be. I mean, everyone, COVID is, it's getting better and better that we can go out and play, but our businesses are starting to open and everybody's kind of, it's this change, isn't it, Sandy? I mean, running a Chamber of Commerce, you see that. Yeah. And now we're all on
here
our
in Dinuba. We've started to reopen, of course, our movie theater and bowling center. The fitness gym was able to open recently with the changing of our numbers in our county, so that was a good thing. And our golf course has been able to operate this whole time because of being outdoors, but again, they're able to open up a little bit more and start using their facilities as well. So it's all good, and restaurants are starting to be able to dine in, and so it's wonderful.
It's definitely getting better. And so everyone, DinubaChamber.com is a website to go to find out about Dinuba, a very charming, quaint agricultural town, but also a town of manufacturing. Very fascinating. So we'll talk a little bit further. We also have Gary Rogers from the Sequoia Parks Conservancy joining us. You can go to sequoiaparksconservancy.org. And we had the privilege of spending the day with naturalist Rebecca Jones yesterday. They put together a customized tour for us. And I'm going to tell you, when you go out for a walk with a naturalist, the whole world opens up even more. You can be astounded and awed and amazed and inspired and humbled by the giant sequoia trees. Then you can start to learn about all the other little creatures that live in the forest. And it just really opens your eyes to just how intricate that web of life is in a park. So it was really special. Gary, thank you, and Rebecca for making this happen, and Katy as well for putting this together. It was wonderful, but welcome back to the show, too. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you, and it was our pleasure showing you around, and thank you for the kind words. And our naturalists are they really enjoy what they do, and so they're also like they feel the same excitement that you do, and it's just a perfect match, I think.
We didn't really want to come home, but then we had good things to come to back here in Visalia too. It's like one of those things, But once you get up in the park, you just want to keep breathing that fresh air and hanging out with the trees and the birds and just hear that peace and the wind go. It was magical. So we'll talk a little bit more.
It's a nice time. The forest is starting to come alive and lots of things sprouting up. So there's lots to see and lots to do.
We were a little late, and it wasn't because we started out late. We actually started out really early to get up into the park. However, the park is in full bloom, and as you go through the foothills, the redbuds, I've never experienced that. Nancy and I were both like, oh, my gosh, stop the car. The yuccas are in bloom. The redbuds, though, I mean, we saw a little bit of it back east. Even in Texas, when we were in Big Thicket National Park, we saw some of the redbuds coming out, and but that was exceptional. I mean, no way.
It's a gorgeous time.
Dude.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
It was incredible. Oh, that was just magic. We've heard about it, but our timing has always been off, and this year we got to experience that, and it was just really, really beautiful. But I want to bring our next guest on, Jessica Brackeen. She is from the Porterville Chamber of Commerce. She's running that ship in that beautiful town, very historic, lots of murals, a lot of shopping, and all kinds of good food, and we're very excited to be visiting again tomorrow. It's been years, and we haven't met Jessica in person yet. Go to portervillechamber.org. Jessica, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. I know you've got a meeting coming up, so I want to know though, what are we doing tomorrow? I know we're coming out. We're going to start at lunch, so we want to hear what's going on in Porterville, and yeah, is everything opening up?
Yes, finally we're kind of the last one here in Porterville, so we are really excited that we have our dine-in options available again. So tomorrow our plan is we're going to go to Fugazi's. Fugazi's is a beautiful restaurant here in Porterville. They kind of opened right before the pandemic, not the best timing, and they renovated one of our old downtown buildings, and it's the old palace. For people that are familiar with Porterville, and really gorgeous. I'm going to say the name wrong or something, but it's a beautiful building, and so I'm really excited to showcase this restaurant. It's been completely redone. It's one of the only restaurants I've been to with an elevator, and they are really excited to host you guys. Then we are going to head up to Lake Success, and I'm going to show you guys all of the things that our lake has to offer. And then we have the Ponderosa Lodge. You're going to go all the way up the mountain to the Ponderosa Lodge, and that is a beautiful little restaurant, general store, and lodge all in one. And, so you guys are going to check that out tomorrow night. And then on Friday, we have a really full schedule. I'm so excited. We have a couple of different things. I have some small businesses that I wanted to highlight. The Calico Mermaid is one of my favorite little small boutique. It's a little quilt shop right here in our downtown area. And Georgia has just done such a great job through the pandemic. Really, the pandemic took out so many businesses, and Georgia she has just done such a great job of turning it around. She figured out what her customers needed, and she was able to give that to them. So I'm excited to introduce you guys to her, and you could talk through how she's made her business successful. She actually said that she had the most successful year of all time in 2020. So that's not the case with a lot of businesses in Tulare-County or around the U.S., I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to go there, and
that's amazing.
Do you want me to go through the whole
really
schedule?
Great to know. Yeah, I know. It's going to be exciting. Ponderosa Lodge we've never done before, and what's interesting is your backyard is Sequoia-National-Forest, and you've got Springville behind you, and so Ponderosa Lodge, is that, when you say, because I know when we talked on the phone, you're like, it's up the hill. So is that towards the forest hill, or is that a different hill?
I believe it is towards the forest. I know I was trying to look at a map right now. I want to say you just keep going straight up. But I know that it's surrounded by sequoias. It was completely surrounded by fire. They saved the little community of Ponderosa in the last fire that we had come through here. So we were so thankful that they were able to save, Camp Nelson and the Ponderosa community.
That is the Sequoia region, the Sequoia Forest area. I think like near Balch Park in that area, I think, around there. But I think we've kind of been near there before. And I'm thinking Nancy and I may have stopped there one time, but I don't know. But we're both excited to go up there, and the forest being in your backyard. I know it's been a rough year of fires. What's been interesting too, just going in Sequoia National Park with Rebecca, the naturalist, we did a lot of videos on fire and fire management and sequoias and fire, and it's really quite fascinating, all those stories. And I know it's exciting. Friday, Denise Alonzo from Sequoia National Forest, who's taken us through the forest and like places on, the Trail of Giants. She's going to be on the show talking about what you can and see and experience in Sequoia National Forest, which also connects in between Kings-Canyon and Sequoia National Park. You also have giant Sequoia National Monuments, so that's really exciting. We'll be airing our Friday show from your office, right, Jessica?
Yes.
We'll be in the office. Yeah. That sounds like a blast. Yes. We're looking forward to that. So downtown adventures and forest fun, but the one thing I heard, are we going to go to a casino?
Yeah, so after we wrap up, so I want to go to the Calico Mermaid. We also have Red Rock Ranch Mercantile. It's kind of a newer boutique that opened probably about a year and a half ago. It's a beautiful little store. They have tons of just kind of niche items, And so I wanted to show that to you guys, and as well as Stafford's. I'm not sure if you guys went to Stafford's before, but now they've moved down to Main Street, so you can actually see the glass. You can see them making their chocolates. They have have lots of coffee offerings, so it's kind of a coffee shop and chocolate shop all in one. It's been a great addition to our downtown, so I want to take you guys through that. We're going to talk to Rob, the owner there, and then we are going to have lunch at the Landing 13. It is a brand new restaurant that just opened about 3 weeks ago, and after that, I want to say we're going to, I'm really excited to go there. They, what did they have? It was something super different. Well, their Brussels sprouts are delicious, but they have cauliflower as a side, and it was so good. And I was so surprised because I'm not usually a fan of cauliflower, but it was delicious. But yeah, so after we leave Landing, I want to do some
convincing me on me. Cauliflower.
I'm trying to think. Oh, it's buffalo cauliflower.
You're like me
cauliflower.
on cauliflower. Then
it was not my favorite, but
you know what? That's a lot of. But when you went there, you liked it. That's
I did.
Cool
I loved it. It was delicious.
That you have to do a lot of convincing. See, okay, that's cool. That's cool to know.
True.
You know,
even my kids, they really liked it.
Oh, see, okay, this is good. If you can get us to eat certain vegetables, you win in my rule. But it does sound like, Gary, we need to come back to the parks and go back around on a walk with Rebecca again after all this food. I think that's what.
Yeah, you're going
to
need to walk some of that off, I think, for sure.
Well, I'm hoping after we leave Landing, we're going to, we have a couple of murals downtown, and so I would love to show you guys the murals that we have. We even have a couple of new additions I know that I've seen on Main Street recently. And then, we're going to head up to the Eagle Mountain Casino, and we're going to check that out. We're going to get a VIP tour of the casino, and we're going to finish up our night at the River Steakhouse that is located on the Eagle Mountain Casino.
So the casino is open for people to play slot machines and things?
It is completely open. I want to say they are limited to capacity.
Wow.
I want to say it's like 35%, but they are doing sanitation in between every use of the slot machines, and so they actually have a really cool technology that they were telling me about that has it so it kind of makes the machine inoperable until the next person comes to. It has to be sanitized in between uses, so it's something kind of new that they're doing just to try to keep people safe. Yeah,
that is awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jessica, I know you've got a meeting to go to, and we just appreciate you joining us on the show. We can't wait to meet you in downtown Porterville tomorrow. Everybody, portervillechamber.org. They've got such a beautiful park, the Centennial Park downtown as well, that really honors the musical history of Porterville, which their high school band has traveled the world, is incredible. So if you get a chance to get to Porterville, definitely go check out that beautiful Centennial Park. Go to the forest. And I remember last time being in Porterville, yes, stopping at Stafford's and getting the Ooey Gooey bar. But we can't wait to see their new location. And they do amazing work because they've expanded. It's quite an entrepreneur story, with what they've done.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that. And chocolate. I mean,
of course.
Can't go wrong with that. But thank you so much. And Nancy and I will see you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies, and we'll see you soon.
All right. You take care. Everyone, again, portervillechamber.org. And I also want to remind you about the Sequoia Tourism Council has an awesome website that will link you through the national parks, the forest, and also to all the different communities that you can visit when you come out to California Sequoia country. It's only, 4 or 5, let me see, like the area is 3 to 4 hours from LA, 4 to 5 hours from the Bay Area, depending on where you're living. But also it's discoverthesequoias.com is the website. But Sandy, over to you in Dinuba. Let's talk about food because we had a really amazing experience we had an amazing culinary experience. Let's talk about the
well,
Mexican
it was a little
food
different,
we had.
wasn't it? We had a little bit of everything. So, as I recall, your menu was we started with some Mexican food in the afternoon, and then you ended up with some Greek and Indian food by the end of the day, as I recall.
That is totally my style, man. And Nancy and I were like happy little girls. You know, me and Martha's, I mean, that was really, we both love good Mexican food. And Nancy, both of us were like, yay, this was good. I had that wonderful chili cheese, you had the relleno, the burrito.
Yeah, and you had the chili cheese
like
burrito.
The verde, oh my gosh. Me and Martha's is amazing. And then we got to, was it Martha's son that we got to have?
Yeah, I think our county supervisor, actually his mom is the owner of that restaurant, Me and Martha's here in Dinuba, and so our county supervisor, Eddie Valero, joined us for dinner that evening at another restaurant in our community, New York Pizza and Grill.
That was awesome.
So we also had,
and it was really great to hear about the whole region. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, say again?
I said it was really cool to meet Eddie and hear about the whole region, his district of the county, because it's really a lot of different smaller areas we don't always hear about on Tulare County.
Yeah.
And so it's really great to hear, like we talked about Badger and certain areas we've never been to.
Right. So Eddie's territory is a pretty big area for one of the supervisors' district as far as land space. And so he goes all the way from Badger up in the mountains out to Traver and Goshen, and then includes some of Visalia, of course, the Dinuba area, as well as Cutler-Rossi and Sultana. So all these little communities. Woodlake is in his area as well, and Ivanhoe. So he has a pretty good-sized territory if he wants to visit all of his constituents. He has a lot of driving to do. So he has a lot of information to share about that and some of the things that he's working on as far as that. I also had an opportunity to introduce you to our mayor, Linda Lahner, and so she was able to share some of the vision that the city has going forward. And we took a ride out to the golf course, and unfortunately we missed their dinner hour on Sunday, so we did get a chance to get to see the facility. I think since you were here last, they added the pavilion, which is a nice space for people doing large parties, weddings, and receptions, and then also got to look at the greens and see some of the wildlife there. We don't have near the wildlife that Gary has in his backyard, but we have got to see some lizards and birds and different things running around there as we walked around the facility to take some sunset views before we went to dinner. So the other thing I think we got to see was our Alta Historical Society, and so that's been a vision of love for many, many people over the years putting that together, and I took you into the museum and shared the history of the White House, which is their cultural center that serves as a meeting space, but also as a place for people to come and have different events there as well. We recently had a viewing of our Beroyan exhibit, which is an artist that was a local artist, and the Armenian Cultural Society was able to join us and give a little bit more in-depth understanding of all of the things that Mr. Beroyan did and where the artwork comes from, and his beginning in New York City and then coming out here to Dinuba in his latter years of his life. So anyway, I hope that you and Nancy had a good time. I know we did a little bit of walking and
awesome
talking.
Time.
And
listen, I found samosas. I found the best samosas I've had in this country in Dinuba. Who would know that? And I did. And I'm still like, I look at the photo of them and I'm like, I need more. Well, my body
that was kind of fun
really.
because I knew I liked them, and there was something different on their menu that we couldn't get in other places here, and of course in Dinuba. But it was fun to hear you say that was something that you really enjoyed, and that for where you had lived before in Africa, that was a very common dish to be served. And so I was glad that we were able to find that for you. And Jazz Singh, who is the operator there at New York Pizza and Grill, along with his Uncle George, have got a nice variety on their menu, so there's lots of choices, and now they're allowed also to have indoor dining, so that's awesome to be able to sit inside with them and visit with them inside. So, but it's a nice restaurant, and George has worked in a Greek kitchen back on the East Coast, back in New York, and hence the name New York Pizza and Grill. And also, New York is thought as kind of a melting pot, so all the different dishes on their menu reflect that. They reflect all the different types of cultures and food types, and so it's kind of a fun experience to go there, and everybody can have a little bit of something. So.
Oh, I thought it was a blast. We had a really wonderful time. And the other thing, too, I know, Gary, we're going to get to the parks because we're going to get into that. But let's finish talking about Dinuba here. And everyone, Dinubachamber.com is the website again. I know we have Reda coming on in a little bit, too, and we're going to talk about Allensworth State Historic Park. But one thing, too, I mean, you are an agricultural community. You're also a manufacturing and just an industrial community, too. And it's an interesting balance because you also have tourism because you're close to Kings-Canyon, Sequoia-National-Forest. But there's also a history. We went to the museum, which really shares the history of the people of Dinuba, which is pretty fascinating because you've had a congresswoman, right? And one of your local parks is named after her.
Right, and so Senator Rose Ann-Vuich was our first woman senator for the state of California, and we years later they named our park. It's our central park in Dinuba, and they named that after her. And a nice amphitheater was built, beautiful, and later some seating was built. But we've recently added some walkways and benches to make it a little bit more pedestrian user friendly. And so there's been a lot of great community projects that have been done in partnership with other organizations like CSED and others to put nice elements to our park. We also had some exercise equipment. I've yet to use it. I figure when I retire, I'll go over there and try out those those exercise equipment. So in case I don't survive the exercise, I can go home and rest. So, but yeah, we had a nice walk around there and looking at the giant trees in that park. The park has been in Dinuba for probably over 70 years, and so some of those trees date back to the original park. So we've got some giant sycamores and oaks that have been around for a long time in our park. So very nice. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah. So anyway, and I know we took a little tour to try to find a community garden, which turned out with COVID, I didn't realize they hadn't been able to do much this year. So, but we got to take a nice drive out to the country and see some other citrus
Well, actually,
and crops
just driving around your area. Yeah, your area, you see all the, the vineyards and, everyone's growing grapes or raisins or wine grapes too, yay. But there's, the agriculture, but also people have just got the most gorgeous gardens in Dinuba, roses and just flowers. I mean, super flower power. The downtowns, in Tulare-County are so cool because they keep the integrity of the history of the area. Like here in downtown Visalia, even walking around, it's like, this is like, I think the most busiest or largest city between Stockton and LA way back in the day. And so when you think about all these, communities surrounding, it's just fascinating that you guys have, and awesome that you've kept your buildings and and have murals too. So there's a lot of stories that tell, what the community is about. If you just drive in and you don't know anything, the murals are very welcoming. And the green spaces, community parks, we've got the one that we were in. What's the one with the gazebo called? What's that park called?
That one is just our entertainment plaza.
Oh, it's your entertainment plaza. It's cool. And, it's right in the heart of the downtown. And I think, towns that think about having parks downtown in the urban areas and then surrounding for fitness, they're doing the right thing. And definitely Dinuba is doing it. I know what we've seen in Visalia, also in Tulare, especially with this Rails to Trails program that I did not know until we did our show on Monday night, that has, been part of Tulare County, too, is doing this Rails to Trails program. Gary, have you heard about that, the Rails to Trails program?
Yeah, and it's a really popular one throughout the Central Valley, but I think a lot of Tulare County cities have used that, and, they've come up with great pedestrian trails and bike trails, multi-use trails along the old tracks. It's a great program, and it's fun to see in all the different communities.
Yeah, we're starting to see them as we travel across the country. Even we were in Maryland, and there was one right behind the bed and breakfast, the Hummingbird Inn that we were staying in, and I'm like, oh, cool. And, it's like, I know there's a whole organization, and so people check it out. It's so cool because that's something, those green spaces, those pathways, Really important to have them, and even as visitors to a town, you get out of your car, you don't know how long you've driven, you need to stretch your legs. I'm seeing some rest areas are putting in walking paths, and they're like, take a walk, take a nature walk. And it's like, I think we're getting better at these things for travelers and for locals, obviously, especially for locals, but for travelers, you get out of the car, you want your kids to run, you want your dogs to run before you put them in a hotel room. And the hoteliers want you to do the same thing too. I'm just saying. So it's really cool to see that. Sandy, before you go, and Gary, I want you to please stay on the line. Sandy, and the one thing too is the Korean memorials that you have. Can you give us a little background history on the heritage and the culture in Dinuba for these memorials?
Sure. So one of the things that when the Koreans were fleeing their country back in the early 1900s, it was a genocide, if you will, and so many people fled. And what happened is many of them ended up in Dinuba as they came to the United States. The farming and agriculture here was a big part of what they had known in their home country, so they came here. But interesting enough, most people in that era didn't know too much about Korea. They knew China, and so they referred to most people as Chinese, and thinking, in fact, in our old history talks that you hear people write about, they talk about Chinatown, but technically there were only about 2 or 3 Chinese people. The rest were Korean people. And so this is where they made their home. They built their church. They continued, many of them, to support the efforts of the families they left behind with helping them with finances and things like that, and even as much as to try to get more of their family members here, but to help them as they fought for their lives, basically, back in Korea. So in the 1930s, when that was finally over and there was finally a freeing of the Korean people, there was a big parade. And for several years now, Dr. Cha from Fresno State has come out and led this and actually done a lot of development of the history of the Korean people here in our area. And he led this parade, and it was amazing the number of people that came from all over, even from Korea. But busloads of people came, and we reenacted the parade that had happened, celebrating the freeing of the Korean people. And so we had the people dressed up as the nurses, which were part of the original parade, horses, and just and then people sang the song, the Korean homeland song, and then also sang the American song. So, it was a great thing to be part of and to hear and to still see. On the corner of my building here, there's a monument that talks about that parade and about what had happened during the time of that terrible time in Korea. But it also is fun to look and watch as I see different Dr. Cha many times bringing people out here, but also just buses of people sometimes coming to look at the monument to realize where their people, the Korean people, came and started their lives here in the United States, and now revisiting where they started. So we have a monument where the old church used to be. It's near the fire department, and then the one on the corner here by my office at Tulare and Fresno. And so it was a huge thing for these people, and they were great contributors to our community in ag and business. And so we were very, very fortunate to have them choose Dinuba for their landing space.
That's awesome. And Gary, I want to touch on some of the history of the parks, because the Sequoia Parks Conservancy really does a good job of not only talking about the nature, but the history and the people's history in the parks. So we want to touch on that in a second. But Sandy, thank you for joining us. We're not done with Dinuba.
Oh, sure.
We have Reda coming on later. So everyone go to dinubachamber.com, and Sandy, we'll see you around the next time. And we're not done with Dinuba.
All right. It was great being with you guys. Hi to Nancy.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So, Gary, Sequoia Parks Conservancy, I want to dig into this because we truly had the most amazing experience with Rebecca. And, it's like going out with a park ranger. She just really had the history, the people. One of our favorite things is she was reenacting, telling the story of a writer. And she said that you do, as part of the programming that Sequoia Parks Conservancy does, is these reenactments of the people of the parks. And so some is one person's Priscilla Few, everything.
Yeah.
There's Charles Young, that kind of thing. So she was all into this rider. We have a video. Everyone, just stay tuned. We have so much footage of Sequoia Park to share
great.
with you. Thanks to Rebecca and to you guys. But yeah, tell us about that program. Do you see it coming back this year?
Yeah, so I think you're referring to our historical reenactment. All of our naturalists, when they come on, they have to choose and learn about an historical character from the parks, someone influential in the history of the parks, and we have a closet full of period dress, and they really get into it, and that program is currently on hold, but as you see, the naturalists have all of that history kind of locked away, and they're more than happy to unlock it and share it with you if you're interested in the stories of the people who have spent time and were very influential in the parks over the last 100 years or so. And I'm not sure about the history of that program, but we definitely it's a valuable thing that we like to share. And
yeah, it was really cool. I know that she, also heads up the Crystal Cave, which is also on hold for right now, obviously with COVID, and just with.
Well,
great,
I have
we
some
met
news on the cave
Rebecca's.
actually.
Come, give, spill.
Yeah, I guess. Well, the news on the cave is, and I don't want to knock you off course. We can backtrack there, but Crystal Cave is on schedule to open. As long as we're in the right tier and for COVID, and we are, and currently the numbers are all trending down. So we are fully anticipating and preparing for a May 28th opening date, and tickets will go on sale May 1st at rec.gov. And the cave season will run through Thanksgiving, which is November 28th. So we'll have a nice long season, and it's a little different, but we're running fewer tours with smaller groups, and we will need to follow whatever state and federal guidelines might come about. But at the moment, that's just masking and distancing guidelines, and we're prepared to do that. We're really excited because the cave is Crystal Cave is one of our centerpieces of what we do, and some of the kind of the underground world of Sequoia National Park that a lot of people don't know exists. Quite exciting.
It's really fascinating, and Nancy and I, the first time we went to the park back in 2012, we got to the Crystal Cave, and it was one of those whirlwind tours, and I got to go in for a little bit. I'm like, no, just leave me here for the rest of the day. This is really neat. I felt like I was like Sinbad in the caves. I remember that show when I was that movie when I was a kid, and I was like, this is magic land. But even the hike there, because you do have to, it's a little bit of a hike to get there. There were waterfalls and lilies, and I was just like, seriously, where are we going? Because this is not the same as where we were in the Giant Forest, and the Giant Forest is not the same as the foothills. And I think this is truly the magical experience about Sequoia and Kings Canyon, how they're connected with the forest and the giant monument, Giant Sequoia National Monument. Mm-hmm. They're connected, like the landscape is ever changing. When you drive in from the foothills, it's different,
I think there's, I'm not a naturalist, but I've heard them say there's, I think, a total of like three different completely geological zones, foothills, and then there's the montane and then the alpine area going way up to Mount Whitney, in the tens of thousands of feet. And it truly is. There's so much variety, and you saw it in the foothills with all the wildflowers, and then you get into the forest area up where the Giant Forest is, and even higher. And the interesting thing about a lot of the higher elevations, and not even that high up, but a little higher than the Giant Forest perhaps, is that the flowers keep blooming the higher up you go. So even in the middle of summer, if you go up to Lodgepole area, which is like 7,000 feet, you'll still find lots of wildflowers blooming, and things are kind of in full force. So it's a nice long kind of bloom season. There's lots of animals and plants you can see at all different altitudes. And Crystal Cave is, again, one of our key experiences. A lot of people, they never know about it, or a lot of people come there just to see it. And it's pretty close to the Giant Forest, like once you get down the road. and it's a great little experience. We're really excited to bring it back this year. We were closed last year.
I know it's sad, but I think so. It was closed, but I think sometimes nature likes a breath of fresh air for herself.
Yeah, and, very good.
And I believe also that it, with us all being locked away in COVID, obviously Nancy and I weren't as locked away, with what we're doing traveling the country. It was different. It was definitely a different year for us. A little rough, but we're making it. But by the way, everyone, Nancy says hi. She is here, but we just technically a little challenged of having us both on today because, we do things live and we're just trying to make the best show we can. So right now there's a little technical challenge, but she'll be back on Friday, I swear. She says hi to everyone, but she, this was what is interesting. Nancy had an experience in New Mexico. She fell down because there was a windstorm, and we went running to the car because that happens in New Mexico. It's like prairie dust and everything. We were at a rest area watching pronghorn. Where do you see a rest area off a highway that you can watch pronghorn? I'm just saying. So that was cool. And there were oriole birds around our picnic site there, and I'm like, no way. But we went running because the sand was really coming up, those, how those swirly sand things happen.
Yeah.
And so she just, uneven pavement, couldn't see. You have a mask on, went down, and you didn't get to see her, but she did have a good black eye as we drove into town, and people kept looking at me like I didn't do it. So her knee, she's had an injury from her knee from gymnastics as a kid. And so Rebecca was really cool about, and you guys were all cool about changing up the plan of going around and, so that she was able to enjoy herself. Normally we'd do longer hikes and stuff, but with her knee, just going like, okay, that's it, I'm out. You guys adapted to her needs of that, and we had a magical time, and we walked slowly, and
That's great.
You see so much more. Honestly, I don't care if you're climbing the top of the mountain. You see so much more,
You'll see just as much, if not more, on a slow walk than a long walk. And I'm glad you guys had a great time. That's been our key. We've been running these programs almost all year, as soon as we were allowed to. Through the winter, we do snowshoeing in the giant forest, and we also do custom adventures. And that's kind of what we did for you. If you can fill out a form online and tell us, hey, what are the things you like to see in a big checklist, and we'll put together an itinerary that does that. And it can be as little as a couple of hours, or it can be as long as the whole afternoon. And then we also have astronomy programs where we take people out with some really big telescopes, and we show people the Milky Way many of them for the first time. People from big cities, maybe they didn't know it was there or had only seen photos of it. And we really love sharing, the excitement of the parks with people, and we try to do that day and night and wherever you guys would like to go. So there's an adventure for everyone, and we're happy to take you there.
I love that you say about the astronomy programs, because our national parks at night, some are not open except for special events at night, especially if it's like, protected ruins and petroglyph sites and things like that. But the parks at night is something that we forget about, a lot of times. So to be able to have that experience is unique. And none of us, I shouldn't say none of us, but especially if you live in a city and you don't see the stars, or you live in a place that you're actually really shaded by trees, right? You're not going to see them. Right. So it's interesting, to be able to have that experience.
Yeah, and we, like I said, we run those year-round, and we also have a Dark Sky Festival. Normally it's in the parks. Last year and this year we're not having that in the parks, but we're doing a virtual festival, and it's a way to kind of promote awareness of dark skies and their importance, and as well kind of connect people to astronomy and the night sky, which is in everyone's backyard, no matter where you are.
The custom to parks tour, I think this is unique, and I know that is a lot more work for you guys, but the parks. One thing, going around with Rebecca is really important, just having these conversations about conservation and what the parks need, the funding. Also, also watching people come into a park for the first time and also not understanding how to love your park in the best way. And
Sure.
Rebecca was great. We were like, okay, that's it. We need to make a video on this so people know you do not want to carve your name in the tree. Do not peel your orange and leave your orange peel. They're actually really bad, even though it's a plant. You don't do that. So we did a lot of that because I think, everyone's excited. They've never seen this, but take ownership of your parks, but not that kind of ownership. You know what I mean? So we did a lot of that. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, we're really kind of proud to be the steward or the MC in a way to people in public lands, and they truly are. They belong to everyone. That's what they're set aside for, and that's their kind of their special place. And when we can introduce people and kind of show them the ways of it, that's a very meaningful experience for everyone.
Well, I think having a guide with you, you'll see more and understand more. Why is this bug doing
Absolutely.
this? I mean, we were looking at beetle carvings on old dead trees. You understand why a dead tree is important. Why is this bug important? Now you have this newfound respect for a bug that normally you would go, oh, let's just swat it. It's a spider or something. So you have this huge appreciation and this amazing experience. And then when you want to go out on your own, do it. And you'll have this, wonder, and start looking at things like iNaturalist and all of that. Get your newsletter. She was talking about that. Your newsletter is so informative. But let's talk about the funding. Even today, downtown Visalia, Suzanne Bianco from Visit Visalia. Visit Visalia.com, everyone. Check out where we are. We went downtown and saw the Sequoia Legacy tree, and especially that was put there for the centennial of the National Park Service. And we have to say this because it's National Park Week, and you were one of the donors, the Sequoia Parks Conservancy, to make this project happen. Of here's a sequoia tree, let's create this little park around it so people understand the connection between Visalia and Sequoia and Kings-Canyon National Parks and understand the parks, because some people don't get up to the park. And maybe this is their one sequoia tree that they can see. So you're kind of like a fundraiser for the parks and projects like that, right?
We are, and the parks aren't allowed to raise money for projects like that, special projects. They have a federal budget, but that's where organizations like Sequoia Parks Conservancy come in. We're able to do those, to raise those funds and to work on projects like that. And many times we partner with other organizations such as a tourism council or a city government or a county government in order to, promote certain programs within the parks, or in this case, outside of the parks. We promote a lot of education programs like Rangers in the Classroom, where we help buy equipment and transportation to either take rangers into the valley to teach to children firsthand with skeletons and animal furs and things, or to bring them into the parks alternatively. And for a lot of kids, that's the only time they come to the parks, or they didn't know it was there, right? And so we're able to kind of open that door and that curiosity and that kind of love for nature to a lot of the school children in the area. So we do a lot of projects. That's just touching a couple of them. But our job is to support the parks and help them build a resilient ecosystems and programs. And our big one for 2021 is giant sequoia conservation. As many people know, the fires, and not just this year's fires, but the severe drought from the last 7 years or so, and then the fires have made life for giant sequoias a bit more difficult than it's ever been historically. So we're leaning into fundraising that supports some really high-tech science that's going into the study of what the problems are, and it's not just fire and drought, and then ways to mitigate that and to help monitor trees. And the projects are coordinating with some universities and a lot of scientists within and outside of the park, and it's going to be a really big focus, and we're happy to support that.
That's awesome what you guys are doing, and thank you for that, too. And Friday's show, we're going to be airing live from Porterville from 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We have musician Shulman Smith joining us for a few minutes with his song Mineral King, and this is a song that he is donating the proceeds to the Sequoia Parks Conservancy, right? And isn't this specifically for fire relief?
Yeah, this is Shulman Smith was very moved when he visited Mineral King, and he loved the area, and it really stirred a lot of creativity. And when he saw the fires from last year, he decided he wanted to find a way to give back and to help. And so he recorded a song and a video, which is hosted on our website, and you can see that. It's the Mineral King video link on our website, and he also had a fundraiser to go along with it, and has raised over $10,000 for support based around the fires. And yeah,
he's awesome. So everyone, stay tuned for that. He's an amazing musician. It's an incredible video. I encourage you to go to the website sequoiaparksconservancy.org. It's just such a great portal just to even understand more about the parks. And if you're going to the parks, the website for that is nps.gov/SEKI. I think I have that imprinted on my brain forever. I get all the park websites stuck in there. But Gary, thank you so much again. Thank you, Rebecca. Both Rebeccas. Got to meet both Rebeccas, and apparently there's a third one. So they get their own Sequoia Grove, by the way. The three Rebeccas. There's one right out. So three of them right outside the Giant Forest Museum. So when you see the three Sequoias standing next to each other, just say hi to the three Rebeccas. So
there we go. Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, listen, there's a Clara Barton tree, and listen, when you go there, there's giant woodpecker holes. Like, you wouldn't think that these are woodpecker holes. They're the size of plates. And just the thing, I'm just blown away. We learned so much. It just really was one of those eye-opening experiences. So thanks so much again. Thanks for joining us, Gary. We'll chat again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa.
Take care. Take care.
All right. Happy trails.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
All right.
All right. So one of the parks that Nancy and I visited is Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park, and this is also part of Tulare-County, and this is a park that we have wanted to go to for over 10 years, and things just never lined up. And finally, thank you, Allie, over at the Tulare-County for getting this set up and getting us out there. We're very excited to have Steven Ptomey joining us from the parks, and this is a California state park, so you can go to www.parks.ca.gov and you'll find it there, or just type in Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. There's no park like this. Hi, everyone. I know we've got a little technical difficulty, but we are back. And as I was introducing earlier, we have Steven Ptomey joining us from Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. Steven, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for hanging in there. It just happens, we travel full time, and every place is different with internet. So there we are. But we are so excited that we were finally able to get to Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. Please tell us the story of Colonel Allensworth. When it was in 1908, right, that he decided to go and establish a town and governed by African Americans. Is this the first town like this?
Well, it's a really interesting story. No, it's not the first town quite like this. It is the only town in California, or township in California, fully funded, governed, built, designed, and populated by African Americans. There were other all-black towns. There were some back east, like Nicodemus, Kansas, or Boley, Oklahoma. They were the results of white promoters promoting a black township. California was very different in that it was an all-black endeavor. There were other black communities in California, but generally they were the result of either, I don't want to say forced segregation because there were no formal Jim Crow laws in California, but there were sundown towns and there were covenants on deeds that said you couldn't sell to people of color. So it was a planned utopian community, and that's also what makes it unique. And it was planned from the ground up, because if you think about it, it's not an easy thing to do to plan a community without already having an industrial base or something like that. Usually towns spring up along trade routes and specific places because there's already business there, there's some production or something like that. To plan a community from scratch is quite an endeavor.
I know it's just, like, hello, we're going to just open this up and start. And it's also known as the town that refused to die because it wasn't easy to do it, to just get out there and start building.
Yeah, and we call it that sometimes, and that's how the parks marketed and packaged up some of the interpretive materials for it, because it was still a town, and there still is a modern town of Allensworth on the location just outside the park. The park preserves the historic core of the township, or the business district, and the important buildings was there from the historic period, and we focus on that. That historic period is 1908 to 1918, and the town was founded till basically it starts its demise, really, and people start moving out around 1918, and that was primarily due to the water supply and just some other economic factors going on there as well. There were basically four principal events that happened in about an 18-month time period that really caused the town to decline, and one of it was they moved the commercial railroad stop from Allensworth to Outlaw, 7 miles away. Water supply becomes desperate. The water out there today is even not that great. The water table continues to drop. The colonel's killed in a accident involving a motorcyclist as he's getting off of a trolley car in Monrovia, California. He struck him. He's not killed instantly, but he dies within the next couple of days. He was in his late 70s when this happened. And then they lose their bid to build an all-black polytechnical college on the site, which was sponsored by the California legislature. And he gets killed in an assembly after the colonel's killed. And those four things happen about 18 to 24 months apart, and the town just never recovers for that.
Oh, that's sad. And but it's really interesting to go through the town. And we were, I know it wasn't, the buildings weren't open. Do they open to the public ever? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's open during special events. We have the buildings open and staffed. We can't just leave them open all day long, obviously.
Right.
We open them and staff them with park volunteers and docents during special events. During normal operating hours, if we're not having a special event, if you call and book a tour, you get a guided tour through the various buildings. There's also a self-guided tour with our cell phone tour and interpretive plaques that are in front of every building. We also have our own cell phone-based learning game called Agents of Discovery. You download the mission, you can play along. We were the first California state park in the entire system to have a cell phone tour and to have our own cell phone game. For educators out there, you can go to our learning lab at the Smithsonian Learning Lab. You can download the learning materials. It has photos, historic photos. It has some activities and things that you can take into the classroom. We were the first state park to have a Smithsonian Learning Lab page as well. And actually, we were the top 5 most viewed Smithsonian Learning Lab. We beat out the Air and Space Museum when we first started that up. Yeah, it was really popular. Amazing. And then we also have a number of other things going on from time to time. We work with AmeriCorps in CCC to help do some of the maintenance programs, which is where we basically repainted every building in the park over the last 5 or 6 years because the weather out there is tremendously harsh.
Yeah.
And we've also partnered with what's called Passports in Time. That's a federal program with the U.S. Forest Service where they help us recruit volunteers from all over the country. And in 2000, we did a complete archaeological survey of the entire park property, which is about 1,093 acres. And not so much surprise, we really didn't find much prehistoric, but we did find a lot of historic remains that were not previously documented. I'll just put it that way. So there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of depth to it. You can go to our webpage. You can go to our social media pages. We have a YouTube channel. So you can get as much as you want or as little as you want. And we've set that up purposely. And we've been trying to replicate that throughout our state park district, with every park having that level of in-depth interpretive information.
It's really fascinating to me too, because we could look in the windows and see like the barber shop and also like there's like there was that one lady, the Smith House. She's named not after me. No, I'm kidding. But things turned into some of the buildings turned into boarding houses, and it was just fascinating to me. And I really wanted to spend more time. And I think it's great that you even have a campground and picnic areas. You have a gazebo area, like a learning center, for people to kind of slow down. And I see that you're into bicycles too. So it's like slow down and kind of learn about the family.
We have a small fleet of bicycles for the staff there. We use a couple of period-correct bicycles to get around. And actually, it saves time during special events, because rather than getting in and out of a truck and all that, the bike's actually quicker. We have the campground. We actually have a lot of work that's going to be done over the next 4 or 5 years. We're got funding to do a study for a new visitor center. Hopefully that visitor center will be built within 8 to 10 years. They're concluding the study this year. And they'll also be doing some work and improvements on the campground, putting in new gazebos, the sun shelters, that sort of thing, and fixing some of our water systems. But a lot of the water system in the park was actually grandfathered over from when the park was a town, before the park was even there.
Wow. And
so that water system is a little antiquated, and the soils out there, if you've not been to that part of the valley, is very high and alkaline. So it tends to eat the pipes if they're not ceramic coated. Yeah, so that's always caused some problems. I used to describe the water system out there as a bunch of paper straws all together. And because it's a constant issue. And part of it is like every other part of the valley. There is subsidence going on because of the groundwater pumping. You can actually see in some of the buildings that the foundations have settled more than others, or settled unevenly. And whenever it rains, the alkaline will come to the surface and get this like white powdery alkaline layer. And a lot of people say, "Oh, that smells." Like, well, no. Brush your shoes off after you go walk through that, because it's going to frat the leather in your shoes. And that was one of the hurdles that the first pioneers had to overcome when they got there. The idea was Allensworth would be an all-black community based on agriculture, a mixture of agriculture and business. The farmers would come there and grow their crops and be gentlemen farmers, own their own property, but also others could come and be entrepreneurs and have their own businesses, and the businesses would service the farmers. And, just like every other town in the valley, ag is important to the local economy. So overcoming that hurdle of growing a crop that would grow in that soil, they started with alfalfa primarily, which grows good in that soil, but it's also very water dependent, which caused other problems down the road when the water supply started to dry out. And that was partly because the Pacific Farming Company that sold the property to Colonel Allensworth and a group of men that formed what was called the California Home Promoting Association never really fulfilled their contractual obligations. And that was part of the problem. And it's an ongoing problem in this part of the valley today. Having clean, dependable water supply, of course, is on everybody's mind. You can't talk about California history or California politics without talking about water.
And no kidding. Well, that's the world, right? I mean, water is, that's where we settle, Yeah,
water is life. And never more so than
now
in this period of history, because there was no, public relief act. There was no social welfare. There was no unemployment insurance. If you moved your business to Allensworth and you went bust, you went bust.
That's true.
Pretty much all there was to it. Now, on the flip side, whatever you made was yours. There was no federal income tax. There was property tax, but no federal income tax. And our money was still on the gold standard, so, a dollar was worth a dollar, right? So there were upsides to that.
It's interesting to me about just, so they all leave and Colonel Allensworth died. Do any of the family descendants come back to the property, to the park?
Oh, yes. We have a number of people. Some of them are docents that are related to original pioneers. I can think of several off the top of my head. The descendants of Mr. Milner, who was the barber. He has a surviving niece that returns. Is a regular docent, actually.
Wow.
As well as descendants of the town's first librarian. And then the Phillips family. The Phillips family actually moved to Porterville, and then they dispersed from there much later. And every so often, the family will come by, and they let us know in advance. We've gotten to know some of them. And then, of course, every so often, we'll get someone who claims they're the grandson of the colonel. But, the colonel didn't have any sons; he had 2 daughters. And we do get some of that sometimes. That doesn't happen very often, and that's true of a lot of historic sites. They'll get people making interesting claims, and that happens. But for the most part, we have well documents on who's related to who, and it's always a joy to hear that, because then you get some insight to the family, like the Phillips family. I've done tours for them a number of times over the years, and I'll get just a little bit more about their family history, and I'll note it down. Of course, it's secondhand information. There's no way to verify it, but it's a nice thing to get that inside track of what was going on, because stories get passed down.
It's like an atmosphere.
They're not always, exactly. They're not always accurate, but, they're part of the feeling, and how some of those stories get transmitted down. Sometimes they get abbreviated, and then it's like, oh, well, I know where that story came from. And it's like you pull out the letters or the reference material that we have, and then you can say, oh, the whole story is this, And the joy about doing that is just, that's when history comes alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to someone who's there. A few years ago, and currently I'm the Chief of Cultural Resources for the district, which is archaeology, history, and the museum or curation of artifacts. I was the Chief of Interpretation for the district for a long time, and I've stationed at Allensworth for about 13 years, which is a very long time to be in one park unit in state parks.
Yeah, I think what's going on there now.
Well, that park typically has a rotation. The law enforcement rangers are there for maybe 2 years, and then they rotate out typically. But anyway, I worked on a dig there a number of years ago with the Hackett home when they were doing the reconstruction of that building. And Mrs. Alice Royal, who was a park docent, and she has since passed. She was almost 100. She was just shy of her 100th birthday. She came out to the dig site, and we were digging basically her grandmother's house and trying to find the dimensions, and this was before it was reconstructed. And I found a little small locket. And I'm brushing it off with a brush, and I'm recording its location, and I finally lifted it out of the soil, and she leaned over me. I know who that was my mother's locket. That was on the bedstead that ended the fire. Yeah, and as an archaeologist, that just never happens. It's only happened in 30 years of doing archaeology. It's only ever happened once, and it was at Allensworth, because we had somebody who had lived in the house during that historic period and could identify not only objects that were coming out of the ground, but where things were in the house. So, we were looking for one of the outbuildings, and she closed her eyes and walked over and said, yeah, it should be right here. And then put a test unit in there, and sure enough, that's where we found the foundations. So having that connection to the land is just amazing.
And to do it now. I mean, it's important to do it now. We experienced that in Cane River Creole National Historical Park in Natchitoches Parish, Louisiana, where we met Elvin Shields, and because of his family roots, when it's one of the newest park units in the National Park Service, it's only like 20, 25 years old. He went there, he was an engineer in the military. He's done so much. And, but his family's sharecropper home is on the property. And at that point, he went and saved it. It was him who helped all of this happen. Yeah. And he saved the last sharecropper home there. That's in that. Yeah, and
I was part of a national committee that worked for saving the Colonel Allen Young birthplace in Ohio. Charles Young, excuse me. And we got together, and a lot of us, we would work in that work and get resources together to make the case, because in historic preservation, one of the key things is making that case where the public and the politicians who are making the final decisions legislatively can understand why this is important. and how it connects to a larger national narrative.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got to meet some of his descendants too when I was at the when they dedicated the Charles Young Memorial Highway up in Sequoia-Kings.
Oh, wow.
We worked fairly closely with Sequoia-Kings on a number of different projects because of the Buffalo Soldiers. Many of them were the first park rangers and built the roads and trails in Sequoia. And
the General's Highway.
Correct.
Charles
and
Young
many of the residents. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And many of the soldiers, when they retired, would settle across the country. Some of them came back to Allensworth to settle and lived in Allensworth because Allensworth had quite a number of retired Buffalo soldiers. So much so there was one area of the town they would call Sergeant's Row where 3 sergeants had lived in the same row of houses. So, although that's another
you have to come back on our
research.
show.
Another pitfall
we're
research
not done
we
with
had
you.
Mr. Smith that we thought was always a sergeant, and when we finally got a hold of his military records, we found out he was discharged as a private after 20-some-odd years of service. So that's a whole other show on that story.
Yeah, no, you have to come back. And we have to run. I'm sorry. And thank you for sitting through our technical ups and downs. It's one of those things when you're live on the road. But we got you on, and we got to Allensworth. And please, let's do a follow-up conversation for sure. Those are special stories that people need to hear. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And you're on Facebook. Everyone can connect with Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park on Facebook, right? That's
Facebook
a good place?
and Instagram and Twitter, yeah.
On Twitter. Oh, I'll have to keep up with you on Twitter now, too. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
You take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so we're talking about Colonel Allensworth, and that is a little, I would say about a 45-minute drive from Dinuba, because that's actually what we did when we left Dinuba, California yesterday, the day before. And when we were in Dinuba, and you heard a segment with Sandy Sills over in Dinuba from the Chamber of Commerce, and you can go to dinubachamber.com to learn all about the area. We stayed at the Best Western, which is the Makana Inn, and we had a wonderful time. They have a beautiful pool with twinkling lights at night. Those suites, like seriously, are comfortable. You couldn't ask for more. So we're very excited to welcome Reda Bennani on the show. Reda, how are you?
Hey, Lisa. Thanks for inviting me and having me on your show. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, we're doing good. Nancy says hello. She's sitting down the road from me here, like around the corner.
Hi, Nancy.
Side of our room. But yeah, we've had all kinds of technical things go weird, but we're here, and we never stop making it happen. But I have to tell you, both of us really enjoyed our stay at the Best Western. It seems to me, just, over the last, year hotel-wise, it seems to me that brand hotels like Best Western and other brands are changing up a little bit in the decor, changing up logos and branding, and kind of it feels different. And I mean in a positive way, the brand hotels. What's going on?
Well, as you well know, the industry is very competitive. And especially in a time of pandemic, everyone is committed to keeping you safe and healthy. So everyone is watching out their cleaning standards. And they're also looking at the way they're decorating their places, upgrading them. When you're governed by a franchise, every 2 years, the franchise will come by and basically try to give your hotel a fresh look. And so they will give you options for flooring, for bedding, and so the renovations, we could easily say that we see a renovation every 2 or 3 years, and that's the standard right now. Most of the franchises are currently operating like this. And something very important is that we go through multiple inspections to make sure that we're up to par, that we will not deceive the franchise nor the brand. So it's a competitive business. The hospitality business is just like any other business. It's you want your guests to have an amazing experience. The reviews are what direct basically travelers when they come into an area. That's what they look at. Yeah.
Well, we'll leave you a good one because we loved it. Let me tell you, we got you put us on either end of the hotel. We got some breathing space, but we did go have cocktails together. You know that. You know you have a wet bar. Listen, we have a wet bar in the suite. Like how are we not going to have a glass of wine together? Like, hello, this is nice. We're going to sit together. It's away from the bedroom. It's like, so I think, do you cater to, I know you've got the travelers going to Sequoia-Kings-Canyon, even Yosemite because you're off of 99. Do you, well, 99 is not far from you, but I mean, you also have a industrial, like manufacturing thing going on in Dinuba too, and agriculture, of course. So do you see a lot of business travelers?
So fortunately, we were some of the blessed people during the pandemic and through the whole COVID, while hotels in Southern California or in Northern California were seeing closures. I would say they lost over 60-70% of their business because of the confinement. Here in this area, I can speak about our location. We've only seen a 17% loss relative to the year prior, which is absolutely amazing and quite a blessing. So it was really amazing. Currently, I still think that we are in a pandemic, and we are doing better than we've done in 2018 and 2019. And the reason for that is that there are multiple projects that are ongoing around Dinuba, roads, infrastructure, school renovations, and there are multiple federal grants out there, and people are taking advantage of them, and they're out there basically sending crews. We get crews from the Bay Area and from Southern California as well. Now, I can add to that normal time, because of our proximity to the Sequoia National Park. You mentioned earlier General Grant Grove is about 45 minutes. I would say about 55 minutes. So a lot of the travelers that are pre-pandemic that would Google Sequoia, they're coming from France or Italy or all over the world, Dinuba pops up on their Google map as one of the closest towns. Obviously, there is Visalia, but so Visalia is on the other side. Visalia is definitely on the other side, and the southern entrance of the Sequoia National Park, we're on the northern entrance, and for that, a lot of people choose our location, and they choose our beautiful little town of Dinuba to come and stay at our location, and basically at this hotel. Yes.
It's also interesting. You're the Americana Inn, and I think that really goes with Dinuba as a town. This downtown is very historic. You've also got all the modern conveniences. You've got, restaurants. You've got a golf course. You've got business going on. You've got the parks, which aren't far away. So I think Americana also just the way of life, You'll see people walking around in their cowboy boots out here. I'm telling you, there's cowboys, there's agriculture, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So I like that you named it Americana Inn as well. I think that goes with the area, and I think part of for visitors coming, and I'm going to say even you talk about international visitors when they get to Dinuba, that's something that they may have envisioned what small town America is about. And I don't even know if America knows what small town America is anymore,
I'm so glad you bring that up. I don't know if Sandy shared with you, but you shared that you lived in Africa. I'm actually from Morocco, Casablanca, Morocco, grew up, was raised in Morocco, and went to college in France. And so growing up as a kid, and I share this story with so many people, in Morocco, we only had one TV channel, and it was in French. and we waited for the only American movie to play at 9 p.m. every Sunday. And it was a John Ford movie, John Wayne movie, Gary Cooper movie. In the afternoons, we've seen Little House in the Prairie translated in French. And since I was a very, very young man, this was my dream. I mean, this whole Americana, the good old West, the good old boy mentality. And Dinuba is not far from that. It's impressive. It's amazing. So I think I'm there.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's like the whole region to me. There's Dinuba, but the whole area, like, you stay in the hotel and explore, because it's like, put your luggage, you've got a nice comfortable bed. And listen, comfortable beds are important when you've been hiking. Really, just saying, comfortable beds and good showers are important. You have both. And you have refrigerators and microwaves. That's also very important, especially when you want to bring all the samosas home that you can to your room. Listen, they
Correct.
have samosas in Dinuba. You know what I mean, like samosas, like real samosas. Like, seriously. I can't believe I had to go to Dinuba to find real samosas. It's true. But there's, that's the thing. I think the area itself, we haven't been here for about 6-7 years. We keep going back on how long it's been. And it's an area we know well and love, and it seems to be growing pretty fast, but growing in a positive way, from what we can tell, a very positive way. And, community parks. I think a lot of people are moving to the area. So are you seeing people moving because they're looking to buy homes?
So housing in past 6-7 years around Dinuba and the Ridley area, we've seen literally whole neighborhoods develop. We have Reach Creek Golf Course. We've seen a few hundred homes getting built around there. The northern part of town, and the east. Basically, Dinuba has everything you're looking for. We got your big box stores, and we got your small little downtown shops, and it is pretty centrally located. I don't know if you know, but Dinuba is considered almost as a hub. A lot of the distribution centers are choosing us because we're right in the center between Southern California and Northern California. We have the Best Buy distribution center for the Western United States out there, which is huge. And we also have a great company called Patterson. So we have a few companies that chose our town because we are centrally located. So I'm sure that brings a lot of people looking for homes, people that are working here around this area. We I would say our home prices, obviously not right now because the interest rates are extremely low, but they're very, very reasonable in comparison to other areas around us. So, Dinuba has some decent prices, home prices. I'm no specialist, I'm no realtor, but I'm sure that's an appealing, definitely something appealing to a home buyer.
Yeah. That's awesome. And listen, the downtown, like, I want to preserve all these downtowns across America. They need to not be boarded up. People need to get into those historic buildings, save them, because you're saving history. And when you save a downtown and you save those buildings, you're keeping the history alive, no matter what you put in them. If it's a restaurant, a hotel, a shop, a tattoo parlor, that history keeps going. And I think it's great when you can find a downtown that still has the original buildings that, you remember Vegas imploding everything all the time, I think they learned. Yeah. Don't do that.
Correct. So I've been serving as a board of director. I'm the vice chair of our local Chamber of Commerce. And so it was definitely a pleasure to have you come and highlight our small little town and basically visit with our amazing CEO, Sandy Sills. If we had the postcard of Dinuba, we should have Sandy's face right next to it.
Yes.
She's absolutely amazing, and she's going to be retiring. So I'm glad you got to meet her and visit with her. But what an amazing little town! Our local government, you got to meet some of them.
Yes.
It worked well with our small business community. We feel like we have a voice, that we are heard, that we are taken in consideration. And so we have all the ingredients that make a small little town a great little town.
I agree with you. And thank you again. The hospitality was, second to none. We really enjoyed our stay. And we're going to come back to Dinuba. We keep coming back. We're like a bad penny. We keep bouncing back and turning around in circles. That's how we travel. Just keep going in circles.
Wonderful. And you are always welcome back here to this hotel. We'd love to have you over again, for sure.
Thank you. And everyone, the best things at Best Western Americana Inn, just type it in on Google, or Best Western Dinuba. It comes right up on the Best Western site and all those other sites. But go through Best Western. And thank you so much, Reda. It was a real pleasure to have you on the show. I know we'll be talking in the future.
Sure. The pleasure was all mine. Thanks for having me again on your show. Thanks. Have a great day.
Take care. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so we have covered Allensworth State Historic Park, Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park, fascinating place, Dinuba-California, Sequoia-Kings-Canyon National Parks, and also a little bit of Visalia, and that's where we're going into now. You're going to hear our conversations that we recorded on site today at Imagine You, a wonderful children's museum. We talked with Katy Young, also Elaine Brown, and Farmer Bob over at Farmer Bob's World. Just an amazing experience teaching about agriculture and specifically citrus over in this region. Really fun. Both of them, super fun. Definitely both family destinations. So I'm going to start off with playing the song Hey, Hey, California from a band, Everett Coast. And, Josh Mitzo is actually from this area, so we're going to play that song, and then we'll get into the recordings and close with the song Going to California. So enjoy Going to California, Led Zeppelin by Makana, incredible slack key guitarist over in Hawaii, and you can keep up with him at makanamusic.com from his album Right. But take a listen. Thanks for joining us. We're still going, so enjoy. Here it is. Hey, Hey, California.
Hoping you know how far I would go for your love. You think you've seen it all before. I'm gonna show you that I can't outgrow you, darling. You leave me wanting more. But now I'm far away in East Tennessee. I just need another drink in front of me. It's been a long damn ride across the country, and it'll be a long damn time till I come home. I'm plucking petals off of flowers. It's been 8 months, 3 days, 2 hours. Every moment I miss you more. But baby, when I get home, I know we'll pick up where we left off. And this show I'm living in will come to a close till I'm back out on the road. But now I'm far away in East Tennessee. I just need another drink in front of me. It's been a long damn ride across the country, and it'll be a long damn time till I come home. On the horizon, only one thing on my mind is I think, hey, hey, California. Counting county lines and street signs, anything to pass the time as I sing, hey, hey, California. Hey, hey, California. But now I'm far away to East Tennessee. I just need another stick in front of me. It's been a long damn ride across the country, and it'll be a long damn time till I come home. I said it's been a long damn ride across the country, and I say, hey, hey, California.
Hey everyone, this is Lisa and Nancy with Big Blend Radio, and we are playing in a children's museum. It's interactive fun. It's colorful fun and learning new skills. So we're here with Katy Young. Katy is the Executive Director of Imagine You at Children's Museum. So it is all about touching, drawing on the walls?
Absolutely. It's all about play.
Okay.
It's all about learning through play and having fun and exploring and using your imagination.
This is cool. So you're in Visalia, which is in the heart of America's breadbasket, one of the top producers of, dairy, farm crops like fruits and nuts, everything.
I think there's over 300 commodities produced.
Wow.
If you think about that out of California, it's amazing.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And what's cool is, as we've been traveling around, it seems like everybody is really grasping onto that and letting the youth know what their backyard is about, because you can live in an agricultural community and still not know what an asparagus is.
Exactly. Or know where milk comes from.
Mm-hmm.
They think it comes from the grocery store.
It's in a carton.
I hate to tell them it doesn't.
It comes in a bottle.
Chocolate milk doesn't come from a brown cow either.
No,
I know.
No. Does it?
It doesn't, for real. That's not how it works.
I thought strawberry milk came from a cow that had strawberry little eyes.
And they don't even eat strawberries.
Oh.
But so, go figure.
Wow.
I know. We learn something new every day.
That's what the world makes sense. I know, but here your exhibits really go in the backyard and also teach skills. It's really cool. You've got a dinosaur in the back garden, so that's important. That's very cool.
We do.
That makes Nancy happy. Yes, I love dinosaurs.
You can never go wrong with a dinosaur.
No, I know, they're cool.
They are fun, and they have little arms and go, arr!
And I just learned that Tyrannosaurus Rex was a real slow mover.
Oh, really?
And ran in herds.
Interesting. See? Now I learned something new.
How about that?
See? Well, I got to bring something to the table.
But then, 10 years from now, they'll say, no, we take it back.
Yeah, right? That's exactly it. That's
right. They're still cool, though.
Yeah,
I still like them.
Very cool.
I like your exhibits here because you've got, total play, but there's, a piano that they can get into. There's also learning, what natural gas is about, and you've got a farting cow?
We do, a farting cow and a farting pig and a bucket of poop.
Okay.
Because, how can you go wrong with a farting cow, pig, and a bucket of poop? But poop makes natural gas. Renewable natural gas, though.
Kids love poop.
So you're teaching them that. And so you had to have fun with it.
We had to. Well, you can't do something at a children's museum and not have fun,
She
right?
just wanted to make fart noises.
I really did. It was really all for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted a farting cow.
Did you make them echo?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I may have tested them out more times than I should have.
Mhm. See, I like that.
I think so. I think we need to go record some.
Okay,
we'll do that. Yeah,
we'll do that.
Push the fart way out. Yes.
Okay.
Some of us don't need a fart button.
Okay,
now we I couldn't help it. Okay.
Way too much time.
So you also teach agriculture.
We do.
Okay.
And kind of you had already touched on it, and we kind of try to touch on the different brains. So all kids work and think differently. Mm-hmm. So we have agriculture. We even have building blocks. So for those engineering brains, for the art brains, we have the art station where they can paint on walls.
Yay.
Right? And not get grounded.
Yeah.
And then even play dress up. So we've really tried to touch on different careers within our community and also different strengths within our children.
Yeah, because you even have a section where you can fix up the car.
We do.
And
I love that.
That's really cool because I think it's nowadays, like if you have a flat tire, nobody knows what to do.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and there is a lot of mechanically inclined kids. Let's let them practice that.
Exactly. Well, at least introduce them so when something does go wrong, even as an adult, they will remember, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so you don't just get scared.
I love telling the story of a young man who came and did a video for us. And he went to our old museum and played on the stage. And that's where he learned that he wanted to be in production.
Cool.
So we truly do inspire them for their future. So if they're working on the car, they might be inspired to be a mechanic.
That's right.
Or to be a dairyman.
Yeah.
Or something else. So that's what we're trying to do, but through fun and interactive play.
And everything is so bright and cheerful and colorful here. Like even the outside, you're like, okay, we're going to the fun zone.
Yeah.
This is going to be a party. But one thing I really like is that I know you've gone out to get grants for specific exhibits, but then also the local community is supporting. You've done it in a really cool way. Like it's like, hey, the brand is hidden here, but it's not really hidden.
But it's there. Yeah.
But there are people that. The community is inside the center.
Exactly. Well, and they see the value of what a resource it is for the community. And as a nonprofit, we rely very heavily on their support. So we couldn't do what we do and make it as amazing as we do without the support of the community. So we're very appreciative of that.
That's cool. So do you get a lot of visitors that come here? I know locals have got to bring their kids here. You said up to about 8 years old?
Our age is to about up to 8 years old, and pre-closing down, we had over 70,000 visitors come through a year. So that's a lot. And we have a lot of field trips, a lot of birthday parties, but a lot of people just come and visit.
Oh, that's really cool.
Nice. Yeah.
And then also, so all these people are coming. I know COVID, that's going to have been like, wow, it's a quiet center. But then you said you really weren't quiet.
We weren't quiet. We decided to make the absolute most of our time, and we have touched every single exhibit. We have made improvements upon it and given them facelifts, built 2 new ones, added on to the outside. We have not been stagnant, that is for sure. So the people that are coming back, it's almost like a brand new museum.
Oh, cool.
Still some of the local favorites are still here, like the car. But
we like the car.
It's in a whole new location. It used to be our conference room.
So now you're going to
our exhibit.
Hey, there you go. Let's just twirl it around. Okay, so you got a big party going on too.
We did. We had a big field trip. But we do birthday parties as well.
So it's got to feel good to have everything back open.
I love being able to be back open. We're opening officially. We've been doing private events, but we're opening officially to the public on May 1st.
Okay.
I cannot wait.
And everyone's sanitized and all of that. So I got to touch on that so people know.
I'll be really honest. We didn't have to do anything much different. Let's be real. Kids are little. They're kind of gross.
Yeah.
I mean, they touch things.
That's why they like the poop machine.
Yeah. They touch things, lick things. So we've always been very, very conscientious about cleaning. Yeah. We've added a few things, but not many. So pretty much the only thing that we've added is masks for our staff.
Yeah.
But we've always sanitized. We've always had hand, all the good stuff.
Awesome.
So not much different.
So different is new stuff coming up.
Different is new stuff.
Because you've got a waterfall going on in the backyard.
We do. Yeah. We have a waterfall going on in the backyard that's getting fixed so that it's a kid's height, so they don't have to have mom and dad help them up.
Okay.
Which is pretty amazing. Well, I don't know that I should tell the secret on all of it.
Well, tell them about what the waterfall means, like what it's showing.
So the water feature actually, again, is educational. It tells about the whole water cycle, where it rains, snows in the mountains, that snow and rain collects and then comes down into the valleys through the rivers and the lakes and then irrigates our crops.
Okay.
And provides us the water. And then they get to fish. We can't just have water without doing something.
How do you come up with all these ideas? Are these things that are done in museums across the country, or are you just going, hey, let's do this, sounds like fun?
A little bit of all of it. Some of it, I have been here for 3 years, but our building's been here for 5 years. So the board that started it dreamt up a lot of it, and then my team and then we work very closely with the sponsors. We continue to dream up more stuff. So the gas exhibit was a new one. We just kept working on it until we figured out what was interactive, fun, and still educational.
Now you have another new exhibit coming up called Shield.
We do. I'm really excited about that one. That one is going to be all about first responders. So there's going to be a burning house in the middle, which not real on fire. And then all the first responders will be coming to that house, and rescuing as well as the 911 dispatch. Kids don't always know how to call 911.
Cool.
So we'll teach that as well. They can dress up as the different agencies and engage.
Heroes for the day.
They can. I mean, who doesn't want to be a hero for a day?
See,
I still do.
That's going to inspire.
Yeah.
Right?
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be.
See, David Bowie was right.
Yes.
You know, he could come here and sing.
All
for
to be
everybody.
heroes.
I like it. Are you ladies going to break out in the song?
I know, I'm getting close. I'm getting close. No, but I need to have one brown eye and one blue eye, then I can do it.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool. This is awesome. I love that you're teaching and making it fun, and I think it's something cool for parents. Do the parents kind of drop them and leave, or do they stay with them the whole time?
We don't do the drop and leave.
That's a good thing to think about.
It's very clear.
You're not babysitters.
We are not babysitters, and when you see us on a Saturday, the last thing we want to do is be a babysitter because there's a lot of people. But no, this is completely engagement for the children and the parents together. They do need to be supervised, whether it's a parent, grandparent, or caregiver. We do need the adults with them.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to bring the adults along. It's kind of a bummer, but it's needed.
I think it's good for the parents to come with their kids.
But it's a great way for parents and children to engage, too, in a different way.
Sometimes as a parent, you get stuck in showing your child something new yet again and again and again.
Oh,
You bring in someone like this, gives you ideas, and it gives you more to talk about.
And maybe you don't know how to fix an air filter on a car, but now you'll know.
Right. Or maybe it just helps you identify where your child's strength is.
Or I like that.
It might even help you meet a new friend. Because as you're sitting there talking to another mom while your kids are playing, you might make a new friend.
Well, I just went into single parent mode and went, ooh.
No, I genuinely have a friend today, 10 years later, that, because I went and took my children to the museum when they were little. They're teenagers now. I still have a friend that we met at Imagine You.
Right.
And we just have continued to be friends and touch base.
I like that, just even the name Imagine You. It's like imagine, where you're going to be. Yeah. It's already getting them to be forward thinking.
Exactly.
I like this. Very cool. What is the website for everyone to come and check you out?
ImagineUmuseum.org.
And it's you with the U.
And I was going to say, and it's the letter U. So it's ImagineUmuseum.org.
See, they like to do things different.
Right? Everything. You've got to just have a little tweak to it.
That's right. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Let's go dress up, Nancy.
Okay, cool.
Hey everybody, this is Lisa and Nancy, and we've got some chickens behind us, as you can hear. We are at Farmer Bob's World here in Ivanhoe, California, right outside Visalia. And this is the second time we've been here. It is. Probably the third. We've been here a few times, Bob, but Farmer Bob, it is good to see you. It's been how many years?
Well, I don't know.
I can't count. You know that.
Well, you were doing parks the last time you were
Yep,
here.
And we're still doing parks.
Are you?
And we're doing farms and public art and history. Nothing's changed other than we just keep doing it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, but a lot has changed here since we've been here. So now, this is a nonprofit?
It is. It's a nonprofit, and we opened on March 13th, and we're in the process of building it up. Not everybody knows where we are yet, so we're working on that. Okay. We expect to attract quite a large number of people from Los Angeles that are on their way to the park. And so we've built what we think is the beginnings, anyway, of an interesting place for people to stop and learn about oranges and orange trees and pick an orange. People love to pick oranges.
Yeah. In fact, we're sitting right by the You Pick Orchard section. So
it's interesting. Most people that come here, I'd say 75 to 80% have never seen an orange tree.
Wow.
Or if they've seen it, they didn't know what it was. And about 90% have never picked an orange. So that's the number one favorite thing for people who come here. they go out there with their family if they're with a family, and they take a picture of them picking oranges and take their little old phone and send it all over the United States.
Yes, selfies, orange selfies.
Orange
selfies. Well, we're here also with Elaine Brown. Elaine, she's been taking us around. We went on a tractor tour, a wagon tour around the farm, going through the orange groves. Bailey, why didn't you go on there? Bailey, the dog, is here. Farmer Bailey, the dog. Very sweet. He's very handsome. Right now he's basking in the sun. This is an important part of the interview. But Elaine, you were saying that, I mean, this opening was, not even a month ago, really.
Right.
And you're already kicking butt.
Yes, we're going so fast. In the next 2 weeks, we have 5 major tours coming up, and it's just been exciting. We have walk-ups now because we have our general admissions, where people can just come here, hang out, bring their picnic, and for 3 hours just do the general admissions, which includes the U-Pick, and they can watch the video. But for a little bit more, they get to take the wagon tour, which is at 2 o'clock. But it's just really wonderful. I grew up with grandparents that had a little 1 acre that had citrus trees and chickens like this running around, and it was that feeling of being with your grandparents and the love and being surrounded by that. You can be who you are. That's what we want out here, and that's what I believe we're creating, and feeling like you've been at grandparents' house and just relaxed. And as you can see around us, I know your viewer, they can't see, but it's just glorious out here.
And it smells really good.
It became a good time of year.
It's the right time.
We did.
Orange blossom time.
It's beautiful. You're out there. I mean, the orange blossoms are saying no to the diesel in the truck, because that's like, we're taking it out, the tractor. It's like, it smells so good. But you've got quite a few varieties here. You're doing mandarins. You've got my caracaras.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got caracaras.
Oh. My favorite. Navel. 3 kinds of mandarins, and of course navels and valenches and early navels and late navels and caracaras. Yeah, and so this is a working farm too, which is really important.
It is a working farm.
And the other experience is that you have the Hummingbird Cottage where you can stay, spend the night. It's an Airbnb now.
Yes,
right?
it is.
We stayed there. We did. Cool.
Yeah, you did.
It's peaceful. Yeah, we got to stay there, and you can hear the peacocks, and it's peaceful. You're out in the orchards, and you've got flowers everywhere, and then it's right next to your event venue. So weddings, are they back on now?
Yep, we're back in weddings. We did our first one after being stifled for 9 months. We did our first one in January.
Excellent.
And we got them booked through the year.
Oh, awesome. That is excellent to hear. So when people come here, it's you were saying like it did go into a nonprofit, so there's a vision with you for that becoming a nonprofit and for putting all of this together. Is it mostly education, or is it to also preserve part of the way of life out here?
Both, I think. Our vision, of course, is for families particularly and young people to be able to come and see what a farm is, and because as Elaine said, back in the day everybody had a grandparent on a farm or lived on a farm, and that's not true today. People including my cousin, who said this was a while ago, but we had a cow, and so my cousin was here, and we sat down at the table, and my mother asked him if he wanted milk, and he said, "Where did the milk come from?"
Oh boy! Uh-oh.
And she said, "Well, from our cow. You were out there when we milked her." No, he said, "I don't want that. I want the kind that comes out of the store."
Wow.
So there you go.
We got a lot of work to do.
And that still goes on today. People just don't understand.
It's important to know where your food comes from and how it's grown, because you can't save the land if you don't know what you're doing with it. So it's important to know about farming. It really is.
And the tractor tour, I know you've got a video as well for people to watch, Elaine, but the tractor tour, what I think is really great is that not only are you out there in the orchards, you get to see them, when they're little baby orange trees, and then the different, the growth patterns. You get to see, the wind, you're not real windmills, I wouldn't say, but
wind machines.
They're wind machines that, help with keeping the groves warm in the winter when there's a frost. But you start to understand what you combat as a farmer, whether it's pests, whether it's freezes. But it really makes it come home to the value of what a farmer does and a farm's life, and what are whenever you open up an orange or any fruit or vegetable for that matter, how much work went into that, the value of it. And I think that tractor tour is really important for people to take. To get that
Thank
idea.
You.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed it.
It's fun too.
Yes, fun.
I want a tractor. I want to ride my own. I want to be your driver.
Oh, don't let her do it.
You don't want me to do that, but I do, So it's I think it does that. And then also it brought up World War I history and World War II history. And so your parents, and that's something, going into the family farm, California, people talk about Anaheim and all of that area at one point were all orange groves, and when you go there now, it's Disneyland, so it's not the same.
That's right.
Now, come to Bob's World, you get a little bit of both, but you're preserving that and keeping the heritage of California farming. So your parents bought this. It was during World War I or before?
Right after.
Right after?
It was it was the Depression year. It was 1927.
So you're going to start a farm in the Depression?
Yes.
Yikes.
That's what they did.
That's rough. That's rough. That's a rough life.
A good example of what things were like. My mother would serve chicken, and she'd say, "Now save the back for me because I like the back best of all." Well, when I grew up and found out what the back really was, I knew good and well that she didn't want. She was eating the little bit of meat that was on those bones, so the rest of us could have the legs and the breast and so forth. So it was that kind of, but we never missed a meal.
Wow.
My folks managed. My father worked very hard and died young because of it. Anyway.
And you got to work hard too as kids, right?
Yes, we did.
It's healthy though.
It is healthy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's very healthy.
I think it teaches you, again, value of life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel so sad for these kids I see on TV, that the way they were raised and the way they're acting now, it's such a waste.
It's
so sad.
Got to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Well, they're missing out.
And there's no one to teach them, because I know Bob and his parents, my parents, there used to be the thing where you would plant a tree that you would never sit under the shade of, but you did it for your grandparents.
Oh, that's Abraham Lincoln says,
and I just love
Martin
that
Luther
thought.
King. Martin Luther, he said, I'll plant a tree even if I don't see it grow the next, in the next generation or something.
And that's what Bob's parents have done, and Bob's sharing that with the world. And I think you bring children here and you teach them that. That's the world we want to live in.
And Bob has his own tree.
I do.
Right.
Yeah, he's got his own tree right outside
down here. It looks just like me too.
It's a little bit taller.
It's a little bit taller, but the rest of it is. When I die, I want them to cut that tree down on the day of my funeral.
Oh, wow.
I think that'd be it's ready to go now.
Oh, but you're still going.
So. He's not. He's going another.
Not ready.
He's 10, if not more.
Yeah,
I'm not ready. That doesn't mean anything.
No, well, Now, the other thing too, going back to the World War II. World War II is something that some folks may not realize how much the Central California and the Valley was part of World War II. You've still got the Watchtower here?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Still do.
Wow. So did your parents have to get up on the Watchtower and look out for, what was going on with the Watchtower?
Well, we operated it for 2 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and either a member of our family was up there or neighbors. blocks of time. So the neighbors would come, be there for 2 hours, and then somebody else would come.
Wow.
We kept it going for 2 years. And we never did see a Japanese airplane.
Wow. Wow. Well, I hope you had good sandwiches while you were up there. No oranges in your backpack. So just keep on watch. So this is so exciting. And so is this open year-round for everybody, Elaine?
We're 10 months out of the year. So during the midwinter, in the middle of winter, we don't, because it's an outside tractor tour. Plus, they get the oranges ready during that time as well. But yeah, we are open, and we're always enjoying having people just walk up that are coming out of Sequoia National Park. The favorite question around hotels is, what do you do after you see Sequoia National Park? And we're it.
Awesome. Give everybody your website and social media.
It's www.farmerbobsworld, and you just do that and you'll get to us.
Awesome. We'll see you around. It's good to be back. Thank you
for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure.
Can we go back on the tractor? Can it take us to Visalia?
No.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Maybe this afternoon.
Trying to find a woman who's never been